welcome to the Shereen Show, where we talk about mind, body, spirit, and relationship. So today's actually really special because we're going to get to, for the first time ever on the Shereen Show, talk about the body. Because as we've talked about before, mind and body are connected. There's so much that goes on with that. And to help us to really figure out what is going on with our human body, we have a health and wellness expert named Jack Kenevick. So thank you so much for being with us, Jack.
Thank you, Shereen. It's good to see you.
It is so great to have you. We have not had a health expert on, so I'm really excited to pick your brain. And
honored to be the first one.
Yes, thank you. All right, so why don't you just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself. I know you were a CPA and you kind of switched out of business to get into this, so tell us about your path to being a health expert.
It's kind of a bizarre story, but I did that for 11 years. I was a CPA for all that time. I come from a whole family of CPAs, my dad, my mother, my brother, my sister, and it's kind of cool that you help empower people to do what they were meant to do in life and follow their passion, and that's kind of what I did. So I jumped ship at 35 and been doing this wellness industry for about 8 years now, and so it's kind of cool that we crossed paths. I love it.
So awesome.
I love it.
So what made you decide, okay, I've been a CPA for however long and now I'm going to go do this? What was it? Yeah,
I just knew in my heart that I was not doing what I was put on the planet to do. So it's not a great feeling to leave work every day knowing that I'm not fulfilling my mission on life. So I can remember even when I was 12 years old having this vision of helping people when I would be older, and I just didn't know what that looked like.
Right.
But you know Richard Simmons, right?
I do.
Total goofball. He's crazy. He's got the big hair and the spandex. But I always thought, even as a kid, that guy rocks because he really helps the people that need it the most, the people that are the most lost. So I always want to kind of be like him.
That's awesome. So, okay, so tell us a little bit about how you help people get more in touch with their health and wellness, or what happens when someone comes to you? Do they say, I'm really unhealthy, or do they just want to get more fit? How does it usually go?
Yeah, it's interesting. The people that I help, for whatever reason, I end up helping mostly middle-aged women, and I think it's because they're the most overwhelmed. They're multitasking, they're trying to juggle the job, the house, the mortgage, the kids.
Right.
And most people, when they come to me, they have tried everything and they gain some success and then they fail, they go up and down, and they're just at the end of their rope. Okay. So I like to try and take a real world approach to these people and just kind of take tiny turns to the screws in helping them slowly change their lifestyle.
Okay, so is that kind of how you differ from other coaches? Like it's more of like a lifestyle change as opposed to a yo-yo?
Yeah, and most nutritionists out there, most fitness trainers, they're exceptional at what they do. They're very good. Technically, they know their stuff, and they genuinely care about their clients. But I think in the last 8 years or so, I've seen a lot of experts, they tend to treat their clients as though they were nutritionists or as though they were trainers.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so the information that they give them is correct. If you follow this diet or you follow this fitness program, you will gain weight and gain some success, but it's not really based in reality of what that client is going through, having to juggle everything.
Interesting.
So again, you make these tiny turns to the screws, and and that leads to long-term success.
So it sounds like instead of you giving them like the cookie cutter information, this is what works, you maybe get a little more into the details of their life and what works for them.
Yeah, it's such a disservice, and that's why this whole industry is replete with all these fad diets and nutrition programs. And if you were to follow the instructions in these nutrition programs, you would lose weight. You gain some, but it's just not really based in reality.
Yeah.
And so people, they fall off and then they gain success and then they fall off again.
Right.
It's such a disservice.
Which, as far as I know, just from doing a little bit of coaching myself, and not necessarily in health, but in other things, it seems like when you fall off, it's almost more discouraging. Yeah,
it really is. And it's not just doing a program that's good for your body type and your daily habits and your food preferences. It's not just that. It's also doing a coaching program that's integrated with your hang-ups and your insecurities and all the emotional stuff that goes with it, because it all starts in the head.
Right.
Yeah, that's everything.
Yeah, right? Okay, so tell us a little bit more about that. Like, how are the mind and body connected?
Yeah, you have to understand that in the process of gaining some success, you are inevitably going to fall back. You're gonna have life will end up throwing you a curveball. We lose a loved one, or we're stressed out at work. Money's tight, and when you're going through that, those are the times when you need somebody to hold your hand and say, look, it's okay. You're gonna fall back. It's all good, but as long as you keep moving forward, just small steps.
Totally makes sense. I actually am doing a new like non-gluten, no sugar, no dairy, like sort of an anti-inflammatory diet.
Right.
Because I've seen a nutritionist and she told me that I tend to have inflammation and I should stay away from inflammatory foods. So I've been trying to do that, and I just could not help but get a latte on the way. I just had to do it. So it's nice to hear that even though I fall off the wagon sometimes.
Well, that's okay, because if you, it's great to be on a gluten-free diet and lower your sugar. It helps inflammation. But if you honestly can't see yourself sticking to that, have a latte. It's real life, right? And then you're going to go on vacation, or you're going to go to a party, or the holidays are coming up, and you can relax and enjoy yourself and enjoy life. Right. And you'll continue moving forward, not just now, but for the next 10, 20 years. That's the key there.
Yeah, and I guess my plan with this whole thing is so that it sort of becomes like a new normal. Like maybe pulling back and having no gluten is a little bit dramatic.
Sure.
But maybe after changing and having less gluten, maybe it's more normal to me to not have bread, so I won't feel like I'm sacrificing when I choose a salad over a sandwich, and then maybe in 10 years it'll feel kind of normal. That's my hope, at least.
Yeah, less than that. And the cool thing is it'll get easier and easier. As you get, your habits get better, your body will adapt, and you're like, oh, you don't even want bread. Or,
Yeah, that's the best.
It's easier.
And I know, like, obviously you do television, you do guest spots just like this, and there's a lot of reality TV around weight loss and all that kind of stuff. So I'm wondering, what's your take on all of that?
Yeah, the shows, like I won't name the names, but they're actually pretty cool, actually, to watch, because you can see what the human body is capable of achieving. Losing 150 pounds in 4 months or less, and it's incredible.
Amazing, yeah.
But it's not based in reality. And if you are, let's say, a 50-year-old woman who's 150 pounds overweight, and you love this show, and you watch the lead contestant, and she lost 140 pounds, and she's your idol. Right. It's not real, because they're taken out of their environment. They have coaches, they have trainers working out 8 hours a day. They have a private chef to cook all their meals. Yeah. And when you're not in this isolated environment, away from all of the stuff you have to deal with, it's just not real. Yeah. They actually did an episode where they followed the lady, the winner of the show. Okay. They followed her for a couple months after the show was over, and she went right back to her old habits and gained it all back. Yeah, she's going to McDonald's and fast food and not working out, because you're not learning the mental skills to deal with all the ups and downs in life. With life, it is always going to be difficult. And so you have to know how to just take those tiny steps. So
which I imagine makes it so great that that's the way you do it, is that you're really engaging in what do you do, what are your ups, what are your downs, what is your schedule, and let's just make little changes.
You really got to dig deep. Yeah. What's their daily schedule? What are they dealing with in their personal life? Right. Because that's the stuff. It all starts with that.
I love that. I'm gonna have to call you so you can get into my personal life.
Oh my gosh!
Help me out with my
How big of a task would that be?
It's pretty tough. Let me tell you. It's so amazing. So I've been kind of researching all these different diets now that I'm trying to do this anti-inflammatory thing, and it sounds like paleo is actually kind of similar, not necessarily non-gluten and all that, but sort of a similar diet. So what's your opinion about paleo?
Yeah, paleo is one of the latest crazes, and paleo, most people don't know what that even means. Paleo is short for Paleolithic, meaning the Paleolithic era. Okay. And it's just a period of time dating from about 2.5 million years ago to about 10,000 years ago. Okay. And the theory is that the human body is about 200,000 years old. So we carry caveman genetics. And what did caveman survive on? Animal protein and whatever kind of came out of the ground, fruits, vegetables, nuts. So we were never designed to process and use the heavy starches and the flours, the pastas, the breads. That's not what the body was designed for. So we're eliminating all those starchy carbs, and we're going back to, it's pretty much low carb. Right. Now, that's great, because if you were to follow the paleo diet, you would definitely lose weight. Right. The downside to that is that you are going to also be missing out a lot of essential vitamins and nutrients and fiber. And number two, the biggest thing is can you honestly imagine sticking to that for the rest of your life?
Right.
I mean, I use the scenario, if you can picture you're sitting around a dinner table with 10 of your best friends on a Saturday night, and they're passing out the bread, and they've got pasta with dinner. Can you imagine telling your friends, I'm sorry, I'm on the paleo diet, I'm not going to have this? They're going to look at you like, yeah, okay,
like,
whatever, Shereen, that's cool.
Exactly.
You know, so
like, let's say like someone for me or someone who is doing paleo, and it's not realistic really to be in your normal life and doing that. What works then? Like, what should people do instead?
All right, so I'll give you an example. I have one lady, she is 62, and she read an article in a magazine about how making these tiny changes really adds up to a big difference in your life. So she has a cup of coffee every morning, and she has about a tablespoon of heavy whipping cream. So she goes from a tablespoon to a teaspoon. So it's like 80 calories versus 30.
I like that.
Nothing, right?
Yeah.
50 calories a day, but 50 calories a day adds up to 1,500 calories in a month,
Wow.
18,000 calories in a year, and that's like 10 pounds of fat. Or about 5 pounds of fat, but she lost 10 pounds doing nothing else. So she wasn't exercising anymore, she wasn't watching her diet anymore. People don't understand the math and how quickly the numbers add up. So if you just cut 150 calories a day, which is totally easy to do.
Yeah.
If you just did that, that's 55,000 calories in a year. So in this case with the paleo diet, instead of going on the paleo diet and you're at this dinner table with all your friends, you can have a half of a biscuit, or you can have your pasta, leave it the size of your fist instead of having a big plate. That is huge. It's a big, big deal. Just doing that.
I love that, because then you don't feel like you can't have it.
Yeah, you're not going to get depressed. You're not going to be all aggravated, like, I can't, and be embarrassed, making everybody else feel uncomfortable.
Right.
You can live your life.
Exactly.
But the adjustments to your behavior are so tiny that you barely notice it.
That's awesome.
And then as you get further into it, it becomes easier because your body doesn't want the junk food. You literally will lose the cravings for it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's so amazing. So you said she lost weight just doing that.
She lost 10 pounds, and she's 62, so she's postmenopausal, which is a completely different ballgame.
Yeah.
Really hard to lose that.
Really impressive, actually, that first of all, that you helped her do that, and second of all, that it's postmenopausal, because I always think of after that phase in life, it seems nearly impossible to lose weight.
It becomes really difficult. So that's why we're so impressed about her results. And the big thing is that she wasn't working out a lot. She wasn't cutting back anywhere else. It was just this one little thing. And it demonstrates how quickly the numbers add up.
I love that. You know what else is nice about that is it almost makes it seem like your body's like on your side, like it's rooting for you.
Hey, your body does not want to be 50 pounds overweight. But what happens is we'll get into this routine where we want to lose the weight really quickly, and then something happens, or we get frustrated and we can't stick to it anymore, and your body wants to go back to what's familiar.
Got it.
I was used to being 50 pounds overweight. I want to get back to this. So you give it any excuse to gain the weight back, it will. So you got to lose the weight, but then you got to keep it off for like 3 to 6 months before that's your new norm, and that's the hard part for everybody. Getting it off, but then keeping it off.
Yeah, because about 3 or 4 years ago, I read a book that really changed the way I looked at food. And I got really serious about eating non-processed food and doing yoga. And I was like, I need to change my life. And so I actually went vegetarian. And then I started gaining a ton of weight. And I was like, I don't want to be like an overweight vegetarian. That was not the point. So I went to this nutritionist, and she did speak to me probably how she would have spoken to another nutritionist instead of like my life. And she did help me think about food differently and start doing yoga and sort of like mellow out and get a little zen in my life. And I got down to 23% body fat, which was my optimal, like I was she told me I was supposed to be between 21 and 23 for my height, you know? And I looked great, and I felt great. And I probably stayed that weight for like a year. And then it's been like 4 years since then, and I cannot take the weight back off. Like, it's just been forever, and I'm like, oh, what do I do?
Wow. Okay. Yeah, what did she say? Cut out the sugar and all of that?
Yeah, she said cut out the sugar, cut out the bread.
Yeah.
No dairy. Well, she tells me no dairy, no egg yolks, no beef, because egg yolks and beef have the same inflammatory thing. So it's kind of that thing you're talking about of, well, now I feel like there's no fun in the food, you know.
Yeah, you know, the one thing that's really difficult, carbohydrates and fat, they're everywhere in convenience foods. The
Yeah.
biggest obstacle that most people face is having the time to stop and eat something for 2 minutes.
Right.
Because we get up in the morning and the first thing we're flying out the door, going 100 miles an hour, and then
Right.
before you know it, it's 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we haven't eaten anything, and we're starving.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to eat enough protein, particularly women. You need to have enough protein in your diet to keep your metabolism stoked and
Okay.
keep it high. But that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Because it's not realistic for me to tell you that you need to have chicken breasts in Tupperware. I mean, are you really going to do that? Because I certainly
try.
don't do that. There's no way. For the next 10 years, can you imagine doing that? No.
Right. Right.
So.
So that's interesting. So then in that case, do you feel like it's best to totally tailor the diet to the person's lifestyle?
It has to be completely tailored.
has to, yeah.
Your case is completely different than my case, and
Yeah.
it's doing such a disservice to try and put somebody in a square peg. That's what the industry is very good at.
Right.
And the success of the industry is dependent on people's repeated failure. If you think about it
Oh, that's
carefully,
interesting.
why would you ever spend any money or any time or any energy going through some new nutritional program if you had gained success 5 years ago from something else?
Right.
Why would you ever do that?
I would be like, I'm amazing.
Right.
We're done.
It's kind of like the medical industry where there's no real money in the cure of the disease. The money is in
Right.
the treatment of the disease.
It's so depressing.
And it's
What do we do?
I know, but it's cool because I think I'm saying something a little bit different than
Yeah.
what most people
Well,
are.
exactly. And I think that's what's special about you is that you
Yeah.
are helping people cure
Yeah.
and not have to go back anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
So then, this is interesting. I'm kind of wondering more a little bit about you. So, like, did you kind of fall in love with the health aspect first before you left your job, or was it
Yeah.
the helping people that really moved you?
It was helping people, and I had no idea what that would look like when I was a kid. But I have struggled with weight my entire life. I have gone up and down my whole life, and when I was an accountant, it was really bad because I'd be working 80 hours a week,
Yeah.
and after every tax season, I'd be playing catch up, and I'd have like 30 pounds to lose, and it was just the
Yeah.
worst. You could
Yeah.
feel your health going downhill every year. So
Right.
I thought, and I saw the people in my industry they were in poor health, and I thought this is probably what I should do because.
Right.
I think there's a big difference between having sympathy for somebody and having true empathy, meaning that you've been there.
Right.
So,
That's a great point.
yeah, and so I have been there for years and years, and I wanted to kind of help people kind of adopt the same habits that I've learned in the last few years.
I'm so glad you did that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really scary.
Was it?
But I think it's so cool that you and I met because that's what you do for a living, and
Right.
you help people break that cycle, but that's tough to do.
It is tough to
Yeah,
do.
and the further
Yeah.
you get into it, the older you get, the more obligations you have, and it's really tough. But everybody that I have talked to that has done that, where they've changed directions and
Right.
they've followed their passion, they never look back.
Yeah.
It's awesome to see that.
It is so great to see that because it almost does tie into their health a lot because
Oh, they're so connected.
Exactly.
Your mental and your spiritual health. I mean, it really, it's so tied to the body.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So interesting. So does that ever come up for you? Like when you're coaching someone with their health, does it ever come up where you discuss their career or maybe their sort of their lifestyle, like the 9 to 5? Does that come up as well?
Yeah, I don't really talk about like their job or their family issues, but it's more about teaching people, not only giving them a little bit of self-discipline, but also self-love. And it sounds,
That's so
maybe
sweet.
it sounds a little hokey, but it is the truth.
You're so
It's
cute.
okay, because it really is. What people will fall off. They'll blow it because they're stressed out. They
Yeah.
turn to food as a
Right.
way to fill the emptiness inside or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
And then when they do blow it, they're like, oh, forget it. I've totally blown it, and they just let themselves go.
Yeah.
But if you're there holding somebody's hand and say, look,
Right.
it's okay.
Right.
You're gonna blow it. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
So, and then just keep them moving forward.
That is so cool. 'Cause
Yeah.
then you just give them that permission to be human.
To be human, and then
Right.
what you're doing is you're actually replacing food with love. And I tell people that food is the only addiction that you wear. You can be addicted to alcohol,
Yeah.
prescription painkillers, gambling,
Right.
credit cards, work.
Right.
But if you're addicted to food, everybody sees it and everybody judges you.
Right.
And so this stigma that you develop with people looking at you, it makes it even worse. It feeds on itself.
That is so insightful.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I need to quote you. Like, I need to write my book over again and have this man's quote. That was great. Seriously.
You put me in your second edition.
I will.
Yeah.
Yes. Coolest quote book
And then
ever.
I'll sign it on the back.
Yes, honestly, that was really great. I mean, it's
Yeah.
such a good point because it's true. You know, there's plenty of people running around addicted to work, like you said, alcohol, gambling, whatever, and we would never know.
And you'd never know.
Yeah.
Right. They're totally functioning at work.
Exactly.
Nobody would ever know. But then, yeah, you see the weight. And it is an epidemic in this country. Yeah, we are overfed and undernourished in this country. It's really bad.
Well, I'm so glad that you left your CPA job so that you can go nourish the masses. 'Cause
Yeah.
they need
So I can give you tax advice and nutrition advice in this.
Best.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I love Richard Simmons, because the guy was there. He really struggled when he was a kid, and he was discriminated against, and he had his own struggles, but he caters to those people that really need it the most, where people have kind of forgotten these overweight people.
Right.
And they don't know where to go to.
I love that. And I love that you model that so much. It's obvious in the way you talk that you're really passionate about helping people, and obviously in such a nurturing, loving manner, which I think is what people need when it comes to food.
Absolutely is
It's
what
such
they
an
need.
emotional filler. I mean, that's probably why I got my latte today. I was a little stressed out.
You got me a latte. Thank you so much for that.
Yes, you're
That's perked
welcome.
me up.
That was just a gift. So I'm kind of wondering, what is the main thing that you want our viewers to leave with after hearing you talk about health?
Yeah, I think in this modern society we are conditioned for the quick fix solution, and if no matter how effective a diet or nutrition program may be, if you cannot imagine sticking to that for the next 10, 20 years, then it's not properly integrated with your life.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you can just learn to make such tiny adjustments to your daily habits, then you can stick to it in the long term, and it adds up to real long-term consistent success.
Okay. I love that.
It's hard to do, but once you achieve it, it's life-changing.
That's amazing advice. So let's say for the people who are watching right now, they do want to do that. They want to take your advice,
Right.
but they might want a little support. Where can they find you?
They can find me at balancelifefitness.com,
Okay, awesome.
and I have a free consultation. It takes about 30 minutes.
Okay.
And I need to learn a little bit more about them, and then based on the information that they give me, then I can then make some recommendations on some steps to move forward from there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
with us.
It's
I
great.
really appreciate it.
Great experience.
Who knew that health would be so deep and spiritual and insightful?
It really
Yes.
is, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it's so closely tied.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
well,
I love
thank
it.
you.
Thank you, Shereen.
I hope you guys enjoyed him. I've enjoyed him. And I definitely want to remind you always to call into the network. This is a non-profit network, so we always invite support. And if you do give a donation, you get a copy of the coolest quote book ever. Who doesn't want that, right? And also, if you're someone out there who's kind of been struggling with not loving your cubicle job, or potentially being a CPA who's cooped up and wants to go be a health coach, or any version of that story, I am doing a live online free event called the Cubicle Monkey Revolution. So definitely go check out that link and join for free if that's something you're interested in. So thank you for being with us. And next week we will be talking about the mind, and I will see you there. Thank you. Okay.